One of the biggest things I've learned as a business executive in my career is that leadership and having the right leaders at the right time is extremely important to the success of any organization. And in this school district, the leaders would like us all to believe that the one individual at fault for the inappropriate, unethical, and potentially illegal issues that have emerged in the past year is one person, and that's former Superintendent Lawrence Wiley. And while many of the issues happened during his tenure, not all of them did. His replacement was his protege. And it's frankly not too surprising that business as usual has continued in the past 3 years since Wiley retired. The facade of this, we're all victims of the big, bad, evil Wiley, it's not only insulting to all of us, it's not accurate. Because, several of the board members sitting on stage right now, although I see one is not here, who had been a boss of Mr. Wiley, and you can say this all happened without the board's knowledge, but let me ask you this. If someone were planning to commit an illegal or inappropriate or unethical act, do you think he would stand on stage and proclaim that to you? Of course not, right? That's your job as board members, to uncover this, to look at documents, spreadsheets, financials, ask the questions, and really get to the root of where these problems are. They're not going to just fall on your plate. So simply put, in that regard, you all failed, those of you who were around then. But I would say you still haven't learned. You still haven't learned your lesson. And here's what's happened. These are all facts out in the media. Here's what's happened since 2013 when Wiley retired. Under the leadership of Mr. Tingley and approved by this board, minus our 2 new board members, of course, you rented a house without a lease to a football coach for 30% of the market value, with rent only being collected sporadically. Under that same leadership, you took a full year after the community members informed you about exorbitant water bills at Lincoln Way Central to resolve the problem, which cost taxpayers $580,000 over a 3-year period. At the time, Christine Glad said, we stubbed our toe on that one. She said that at a September 2015 budget hearing. And if $580,000 is a toe stub, then maybe I can understand a little bit better how we're in this mess. Under the leadership of Mr. Tingley and with the approval of this board, Lincoln Way broke the law by charging families 600% more than allowed for driver's education, resulting in nearly $400,000 in refunds. And this happened after Mr. Tingley received a detailed reminder with instructions from the Illinois State Board of Education to renew the driver's education waiver. What did he do? Well, he passed the buck to Mr. Sowin because he delegated that responsibility to him. I would put forth that you're the leader of this district, Mr. Tingley, and you failed, and you won't take accountability for that. Reporters have asked you if you would take accountability for that, and you won't. And to me, that is the hallmark of arrogance and true failure of any leader. If you lead, you take the credit for the good things, and you take responsibility for the bad things. And when you don't, read any Business Management 101 book, and that is what it will tell you. You have to take accountability, and you have to take responsibility. Also under this leadership, you continue to allow a private for-profit business to use taxpayer-funded property without rent. You funded nearly $1.9 million in no contract, no bid work to a company owned by Christine Glatz's account executive, Beth Brower. Mr. Tingley, and with the approval of this board, also continued to issue budgets that were so far from reality, that alone would have a leader fired in a minute in the private world. Under the same leadership, you continued horrendous accounting practices and miscategorized spending, according to analysis conducted by our own CPA, Robert Rippin, in our community here. Under the leadership of Mr. Tingley and with the approval of this board, you spent $30,000 of taxpayer money to reimburse Mr. Sowin for his PhD. Mr. Sowin, who was planning to retire a degree that would have zero benefit to our district. Under the same leadership, you denied multiple legitimate FOI requests and needing input from the Attorney General's office to get some of this answered. And you also conducted a private investigation which clearly indicates that you had some suspicion of inappropriate activity, but kept that under wraps. So I emphasize all of this has happened since 2013 when Wiley retired. A stellar leader does not have such a long list of indiscretions. And if you want to be a leader, you take responsibility along with that $215,000 paycheck. You're ignoring the obvious. The problems of the current administration are right in front of you, and you're not doing a thing to change the leadership. making you just as complicit as the board that governed under Wiley.
You're at 5 minutes.
Well, all that said, I think although Lawrence Wiley is gone, his legacy lives on with a vengeance at Lincoln Way under this leadership.